What began as a celebrity business launch that appeared destined for success has gradually become one of the most heavily discussed public relations challenges in recent Hollywood memory. Blake Lively, long known for her acting career, red carpet appearances, and carefully cultivated public image, has recently found herself at the center of multiple conversations that extend far beyond film and entertainment. Between ongoing public debate surrounding her legal disputes, growing criticism from online commentators, and questions surrounding the performance of her beauty venture, the actress has become the focus of a level of scrutiny that few celebrities experience all at once. While supporters continue to defend her and critics remain highly vocal, the broader discussion has evolved into something larger than any single controversy. It has become a case study in how quickly public perception can shift when celebrity branding, business ventures, media coverage, and online commentary collide. The discussion intensified after reports surfaced questioning the performance of her hair care brand, a company reportedly valued at around $100 million. Various entertainment outlets and commentators began examining whether the brand was meeting expectations, while others questioned whether negative publicity surrounding Blake herself was having a direct impact on consumer confidence. Regardless of which side of the debate someone falls on, there is little disagreement that the conversation has become increasingly difficult for the actress and her business interests. For years, celebrity beauty brands have represented one of the most lucrative opportunities available to public figures. Modern audiences have become accustomed to actors, musicians, influencers, and reality television stars launching everything from skincare lines to cosmetics collections, fragrance brands, wellness products, and hair care companies. Some of these ventures have become extraordinary success stories, generating hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars in revenue. Others have struggled to gain traction despite the fame of the individuals attached to them. The beauty industry can be surprisingly unforgiving. While celebrity recognition may create initial interest, maintaining long-term success requires sustained consumer trust, product satisfaction, and positive word of mouth. In today's digital environment, where customer reviews can spread across social media within hours, even minor complaints can rapidly snowball into major narratives that affect public perception. This reality has created significant challenges for celebrities attempting to transform personal fame into successful consumer brands. Blake Lively entered this competitive marketplace with considerable advantages. She possessed widespread name recognition, a reputation for glamorous public appearances, and an image that many consumers associated with fashion and beauty. To supporters, launching a hair care line appeared like a logical extension of her public persona. Her signature blonde hair had long been part of her visual identity, making hair products seem like a natural fit. Retail partnerships provided additional credibility, allowing the products to reach mainstream consumers through established distribution channels. From a business perspective, many observers believed the ingredients for success were already in place. Yet the reality of building a beauty brand often proves far more complicated than simply attaching a famous name to a product line. As discussions surrounding the company intensified, critics began highlighting reports of product returns and customer dissatisfaction. Some online commentators pointed to allegations that certain consumers experienced negative results after using the products. These claims quickly gained attention across social media platforms, where stories, whether verified, exaggerated, or entirely inaccurate, often spread much faster than detailed investigations. In the beauty industry, perception can be just as influential as reality. If consumers begin associating a hair care brand with complaints about hair damage or hair loss, even unproven allegations can significantly impact purchasing decisions. For any company operating within this space, such narratives represent a serious challenge because they directly target the central promise of the product itself. Supporters of Blake Lively have argued that at least part of the backlash reflects broader hostility directed toward the actress rather than objective assessments of the products. According to this perspective, the negative publicity surrounding her personal controversies may have influenced consumer attitudes toward the brand. Critics, however, reject that explanation. They argue that declining enthusiasm reflects genuine dissatisfaction with Blake herself and growing skepticism toward celebrity-driven business ventures. Regardless of which interpretation proves more accurate, both sides acknowledge the same underlying reality. Public opinion matters. When a celebrity's reputation becomes controversial, every associated business venture inevitably faces increased scrutiny. The broader context surrounding these developments cannot be ignored. Blake's legal conflict with Justin Baldoni became one of the most widely discussed entertainment stories in recent months. Throughout the dispute, supporters and critics analyzed every development, every filing, every statement, and every media report. Social media transformed the case into an ongoing battlefield where opposing camps argued relentlessly about the facts, motivations, and implications of the controversy. As often happens in high-profile disputes, many observers developed strong opinions long before all information became available. Once those opinions formed, changing them proved exceptionally difficult. This phenomenon is hardly unique to this particular case. Across politics, entertainment, sports, and countless other areas of public life, people frequently interpret new information through the lens of beliefs they already hold. Evidence supporting their preferred narrative receives immediate acceptance, while contradictory information faces intense skepticism. As a result, debates often become less about discovering truth and more about defending previously established positions. The Blake Lively controversy appears to have followed a similar pattern. Supporters continue emphasizing information they believe supports her perspective, while critics focus on developments they view as validating their concerns. Meanwhile, neutral observers attempt to navigate an increasingly complex landscape filled with competing claims, interpretations, and narratives. One of the central questions emerging from these discussions involves trust. Celebrity brands depend heavily upon consumer confidence. When people purchase a product connected to a public figure, they are often buying more than the item itself. They are buying into an image, a lifestyle, or a perception. Successful celebrity entrepreneurs understand this dynamic. Their personal reputations become intertwined with their business ventures. Positive public sentiment can elevate a brand, while negative publicity can undermine it. In Blake's case, critics argue that recent controversies have weakened the trust necessary for long-term brand success. Whether that assessment is fair remains a matter of debate, but it reflects concerns that many observers continue discussing. Another factor complicating the situation is the increasing skepticism consumers feel toward celebrity endorsements in general. Audiences today are more informed than ever before. They recognize that many celebrity-backed products involve extensive teams of executives, marketers, investors, researchers, and manufacturers operating behind the scenes. Consequently, consumers often question how directly involved celebrities actually are in product development. When a famous individual promotes a beauty product, customers frequently wonder whether that person genuinely uses the product or simply benefits financially from its success. Such questions become particularly relevant whenever a brand encounters controversy. For decades, celebrity endorsements relied heavily on aspiration. Consumers purchased products because they admired the individuals promoting them. Yet the modern marketplace has become increasingly focused on authenticity. Customers want to believe that celebrities genuinely stand behind the products they sell. Any perceived disconnect between public image and business activity can quickly become a topic of criticism. This challenge extends beyond Blake Lively and affects countless public figures attempting to build consumer brands. At the same time, it would be inaccurate to suggest that celebrity businesses rarely succeed. Numerous examples demonstrate the opposite. Several entertainers have transformed personal brands into enormously profitable enterprises. Beauty products, fashion lines, wellness companies, and lifestyle brands have generated fortunes for celebrities who successfully converted public attention into consumer loyalty. These success stories inspire others to pursue similar opportunities. From a business perspective, the appeal is obvious. A successful brand can generate revenue far exceeding what many celebrities earn from their primary careers. However, every highly publicized success story is accompanied by numerous lesser-known failures. Many celebrity ventures launch with tremendous publicity only to struggle once initial curiosity fades. Consumers may purchase products once because of a recognizable name, but repeat purchases depend upon satisfaction and trust. Sustaining momentum requires far more than celebrity status alone. This reality may explain why some celebrity brands flourish while others encounter difficulties despite. As the public conversation continues to evolve, one of the most significant unanswered questions is not necessarily about court filings, business performance, or social media debates. Instead, it revolves around what happens next. Hollywood has always been a place where narratives change rapidly. Today's scandal can become tomorrow's forgotten headline, while a figure who appears politically or professionally damaged can unexpectedly experience a dramatic comeback. The entertainment industry is filled with examples of careers that survived enormous controversies, as well as examples of individuals who never fully recovered from negative public attention. Because of that reality, many observers remain focused not simply on what has happened so far, but on how the major figures involved choose to move forward. For Blake Lively, the challenge extends beyond defending herself against criticism. Public figures rarely have the luxury of addressing a single issue in isolation. Every controversy intersects with broader questions about credibility, public image, professional relationships, and future opportunities. In many ways, the discussion surrounding her hair care brand illustrates this point perfectly. A business venture that might otherwise have been evaluated solely on product quality and sales performance has instead become intertwined with larger conversations about reputation and trust. Supporters argue that the criticism directed toward the company reflects hostility generated by unrelated disputes. Critics argue that consumer skepticism is a direct consequence of choices Blake has made publicly. Whatever the truth may be, separating those issues has become increasingly difficult. The challenge facing celebrity entrepreneurs is unique because their personal identities often function as the primary marketing strategy behind their businesses. Unlike traditional companies, celebrity brands rely heavily on emotional connections. Consumers purchase products because they admire, trust, or feel connected to the individual behind them. That dynamic can produce remarkable success when public sentiment remains positive. However, it can also create vulnerability when controversy emerges. A company built around a celebrity's image inevitably rises and falls alongside that image. If public perception shifts, business performance may be affected regardless of the actual quality of the products being sold. This reality has prompted broader discussions about the sustainability of celebrity-driven business models. In recent years, audiences have become increasingly sophisticated consumers. They are more willing to research products, compare alternatives, and question marketing claims. Fame alone no longer guarantees success. Customers expect authenticity, transparency, and consistent quality. As a result, celebrity founders face pressure not only to promote their products, but also to demonstrate genuine involvement and credibility. Any perceived inconsistency between a celebrity's public statements and business activities can quickly become a source of criticism. Observers have noted that this environment creates particularly high expectations for public figures who expand into lifestyle industries such as beauty, skincare, wellness, and fashion. These sectors depend heavily on consumer trust because customers are often applying products directly to their bodies or incorporating them into daily routines. Confidence matters. Perception matters. Reputation matters. Consequently, even relatively minor controversies can have outsized effects compared to industries where personal trust plays a smaller role. At the same time, it is important to recognize that social media often amplifies narratives far beyond their actual scale. A small number of negative reviews can sometimes appear much larger when repeatedly shared across platforms. Similarly, enthusiastic supporters can create the impression of overwhelming approval even when broader public interest remains limited. This amplification effect makes it increasingly difficult to determine what truly reflects consumer sentiment versus what simply reflects the loudest voices online. As a result, many companies find themselves navigating not only real-world business challenges but also digital reputation battles that unfold continuously across multiple platforms. Another element contributing to the fascination surrounding this story is the role played by independent commentators and online creators. Traditional media outlets no longer control public discourse in the way they once did. Today, countless individuals produce analyses, reactions, commentary videos, podcasts, and social media posts discussing major entertainment controversies. Some approach these topics as journalists. Others function more as opinion commentators. Many blend elements of both. Regardless of their methods, these creators often exert substantial influence over how audiences interpret events. Within that landscape, personalities such as Lashari and others have developed dedicated audiences eager to follow ongoing developments. Their coverage reflects a broader trend in media consumption. Many people no longer rely exclusively on newspapers, television broadcasts, or entertainment magazines for information. Instead, they seek commentary from creators whose perspectives they trust or find engaging. This shift has transformed the way celebrity controversies unfold. Information now travels faster, reactions occur more immediately, and narratives evolve continuously as new voices enter the conversation. Yet this democratization of media has advantages and disadvantages. On one hand, it allows a wider range of perspectives to be heard. On the other hand, it can contribute to polarization, misinformation, and the rapid spread of unverified claims. Audiences must increasingly evaluate sources, assess credibility, and distinguish between factual reporting and personal opinion. These challenges become particularly significant when discussing legal disputes or allegations involving real individuals. The debate surrounding Justin Baldoni demonstrates many of these dynamics. Supporters and critics continue interpreting developments through fundamentally different frameworks. Some view court outcomes as strong indicators regarding the merits of competing claims. Others argue that legal results do not necessarily resolve broader moral or ethical questions. As a consequence, discussions frequently reach an impasse where both sides remain convinced of their positions despite reviewing the same information. This phenomenon reflects a broader truth about public controversies. Facts matter, but interpretation matters as well. Two people can examine identical evidence and arrive at dramatically different conclusions depending on their assumptions, values, and prior beliefs. Social media often intensifies this tendency by encouraging users to engage primarily with communities that reinforce existing viewpoints. Over time, those communities develop shared narratives that become increasingly resistant to outside perspectives. Despite these divisions, there remains widespread curiosity regarding whether Justin Baldoni will eventually address the controversy directly and at length. Many commentators believe that a comprehensive interview or public statement could attract enormous attention. Others question whether speaking publicly would provide meaningful benefits. In high-profile disputes, silence can sometimes be interpreted as restraint and professionalism, while public responses can generate additional scrutiny and debate. Determining the right approach is rarely straightforward. What makes the situation particularly interesting is the absence of clear closure. Many public controversies eventually conclude with definitive outcomes, settlements, or resolutions that satisfy at least some observers. In this case, however, significant disagreement remains regarding what the events actually mean. Supporters of each side continue framing developments in ways that support their preferred narratives. Consequently, public discussion persists even after major legal milestones have passed. For Blake Lively, this lingering uncertainty presents both risks and opportunities. On one hand, continued debate ensures that negative stories remain visible longer than they otherwise might. On the other hand, public attention eventually shifts. New stories emerge. New controversies capture headlines. The entertainment industry rarely remains focused on a single issue indefinitely. Managing that transition effectively often determines whether a controversy leaves lasting damage or gradually fades from public consciousness. The future of her business ventures may depend partly on how successfully that transition occurs. Consumer confidence can recover. Brands can adapt. Marketing strategies can evolve. Public figures can rebuild relationships with audiences. None of these outcomes are guaranteed, but history provides numerous examples demonstrating that reputational setbacks do not always define long-term success. Much depends on how individuals respond, communicate, and position themselves moving forward. Meanwhile, critics remain convinced that the current difficulties represent consequences rather than temporary obstacles. They argue that public perception has shifted in ways that cannot easily be reversed. According to this perspective, trust once lost is difficult to regain, particularly when controversies receive extensive media coverage. Whether that assessment proves accurate remains uncertain, but it reflects concerns frequently expressed by those who have followed the situation closely. One of the more revealing aspects of the entire discussion is how emotionally invested many observers have become. The intensity of online debate often suggests that participants view these events as symbolic of larger issues involving accountability, fairness, media influence, and public trust. For some individuals, supporting one side or the other extends beyond the specific personalities involved. Instead, it represents broader beliefs about how society should evaluate allegations, interpret evidence, and assign responsibility. This helps explain why conversations frequently become so passionate despite involving people whom participants have never met personally. At the same time, there is a practical reality often overlooked during heated debates. Celebrities, businesses, media outlets, commentators, and audiences all operate within systems that reward attention. Controversy generates interest. Interest generates engagement. Engagement